If you're a tournament player, one of the first things you need to understand is this. We don't think in dollars. We think in big blinds. In a cash game, your stack is static. You sit down with $300 and blinds never change. You're making decisions in dollars in real-world terms. But tournaments? Tournaments are a moving target. The blinds go up every level. Your $30,000 starting stack might beat 300 big blinds early, but only 20 big blinds a few levels later. And if you don't know your stack size in big blinds at all times, you're basically playing blind. In this video, we're going to break down exactly how big blind stack depth works in tournament poker and why mastering it gives you a massive edge. We'll discuss why big blind count is more important than your chip count, how to estimate your big blind stack instantly without a calculator, when stack depth dictates your entire strategy, from jamming to reshoving to independent chip model, ICM. This is one of the most essential skills in tournament poker. And once you get this down, you'll start seeing the game like the pros do. Let's dive in. In tournaments, every level gets more expensive, and if you're not paying attention to how deep you are in big blinds, you're playing blind. Knowing your big blind count at all times lets you make accurate push-fold decisions. Follow preflop charts that are built specifically around big blind stack sizes. Size your 3 bets, reshoves, and pressure plays with precision. Navigate ICM pressure spots in late stages. Put simply, if you don't know how many big blinds you have, you don't know how to play your stack. Let's talk fast math, because in tournament poker, speed matters. You can't pull out a calculator. You can't scroll through your phone. You need to know your stack in big blinds right now. And there's a simple trick. Divide your chip stack by the current big blind. Let's walk through 2 quick examples. You have 7,200 chips, and the big blind is 300. 7,200 divided by 300 equals 24 big blinds. Hours later, you've got 1,107,200 chips, and the big blind is 60,000. 1,107,200 divided by 60,000 equals 18 big blinds. In tournaments, the number of big blinds you have is way more important than the dollar amount. Why? Because big blind count is how you know when to shove or fold, size your 3 bets, time your aggression, gauge ICM pressure, and the reality is, you won't always have time or mental bandwidth to do the math at the table. That's where visual estimation becomes your secret weapon. When you're in the action, know your chip colors. If the $1,000 chips are blue and you see a stack of 10, that's 10,000. Estimate by stack height. A clean stack of 20 chips equals easy math. For stacks of $500 chips, that's $40,000. For stacks of $50,000 chips, that's $4 million. Group by big blind chunks. If the big blind is 1,500 and a player has 6,000, that's 4 big blinds, a shove or fold zone. Stay updated. As blinds increase, recalculate. The math stays the same. Stack divided by current big blind equals big blind count. Watch stack shifts after big pots. Smart players watch patterns. Great players anticipate them. And stacked up is the roadmap. Learn to eyeball stack sizes quickly and accurately, both yours and your opponent's. If you can assess pressure points at a glance, you're flying blind. When does your stack size in big blinds really matter? Here's where the rubber meets the road, especially when you're hovering around 20 big blinds or less. At this stage, your decisions shift from playable hand ranges to push or fold strategy. But before we jump into examples, let's be clear about something. These examples assume you are not near the bubble, there are no significant pay jumps approaching, and there's no major ICM pressure. In other words, these are chip EV decisions, not ICM decisions. Once ICM enters the picture, like near the money bubble or final table, these same spots can flip from a jam to a fold or vice versa. Quick jam spot example. You have 8 big blinds, middle position, and you're holding ace-9 suited. From a pure chip EV standpoint, this is a shove. Why? Because you still have fold equity. Your shove can get through. Your hand has decent equity when called. You need to stay ahead of the blinds to avoid death by attrition. But what if you're 2 spots from the bubble? Now you're facing ICM pressure, and it's no longer just about chip accumulation. Now, survival is worth money. That same ace-9 suited might be a fold if other players are hanging on with 2 to 4 big blind stacks. You're almost guaranteed a min cash if you wait. You can survive a few more orbits without risk. A quick definition of ICM. ICM stands for Independent Chip Model, a way of assigning real dollar value to your tournament chips based on remaining players, stack sizes, and prize pool distribution. In simple terms, the closer you are to the money, the more your chips are worth, and the more cautious you should be about losing them. That's why in late-stage tournaments, even strong hands can't be played the same way you would early on or in cash games. Here are a couple of other big blind-dependent scenarios. Reshove math. Short-stacked and facing a raise? Knowing your big blind count helps calculate if your all-in is profitable. Blind versus blind showdowns. If you're under 10 big blinds, your defense and shove ranges from the small blind are entirely stack-based. Spotting weakness in others. Players who don't know how many big blinds they have often give off timing tells, miscalculate bets, or play too loose or tight in spots where math should dictate their actions. In tournaments, your chip stack means nothing without context. Your big blind count and your awareness of ICM pressure is what makes or breaks you. Push when it's right. Fold when it's smart. And never forget, the big blind is your true stack, not your chip total. In cash games, we think in dollars. We calculate in real time with fixed blinds and deep stacks. But in tournaments, the big blind is your currency. And it's the lens through which every decision should be viewed. If you don't know your big blind count, you're flying blind. From short stack jams to reshoves to pressure plays, every move you make should be grounded in a real understanding of your stack depth relative to the blinds. And when the bubble looms or pay jumps are in play, that's when ICM takes over, and knowing when to fold a strong hand can be more profitable than chasing the pot. So, if you want to survive longer, make smarter plays, and give yourself a real shot at the final table. Know your big blind count. Know when it matters. And play like your tournament life depends on it, because it does. Thanks for watching, and if you think this content has value, then like, subscribe, and share. This is Terry Wood from PokerRailbird.com, and we'll see you at the tables.